Thanks for staying with us. Moving on to another story. So there was a story on LinkedIn, LinkedIn page of Mr. Aziz Ibrahim Olufemi. He posted something that caught our attention. He says, I just found out that Orange Drug Nigeria is today being run by second-generation business executives, which means that the children of the founders. The iconic lifestyle and pharmaceutical group founder, Sir Tony Ezenam, is said to be enjoying his retirement at his Bodilon Castle in Ikoyi, while his 3 older children have taken the reins in solidifying and scaling their big family business known as Orange Drug by bringing their youthful energy and innovation to bear on the family business founded by their father. Then he cited examples by Dangote, whose 3 daughters, Halima, Fatima, and Maria. He also cited Mike Adenuga's daughters, Bella, running Glow, Tony Lumelu's daughter, Oge, also getting prepared to finish up her school in the London School of Economics and possibly start running his family business called Hair Holdings, amongst many others. I know that also Eleganza has his children also in key positions in his company, hoping to hand over. But the point is it mandatory to have your children run a family business? Should it be encouraged? Is it a must for children to succeed their family business? Many of us are starting businesses and thinking of sending our children abroad. Many children don't even bother looking back. Once they school abroad and have these exposures, they choose to find their own path and don't even think back of the business that actually sent them abroad or fed them to or paid their school fees. Many families have been faced with that situation right now where they're trying to get their kids to come back home to run the business, but many of them are not interested. How do we find a middle ground in this? You can call the numbers on your screens, 081 0764 679 090 241 63440. Also tweet to us at TVC Entertainment. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. Mr. BC, you'd like to start? Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why a rich man would have the children take over their business and a poor man would have their children run away from taking over the business is the mentality of both minds. The mentality and the mindset of the poor man who is running a business is running that business for survival.
Yeah.
And because they're running the business for survival, the children will pick up on that energy of survival. And, you know, once they can have light at the end of the tunnel, they run away because they don't want that level of survival. And that's also because the poor man would be putting things like, I want you to have a better life. This struggle that we're struggling, that's not what I wish for you. So I want you to go to school. I want you to have this degree so that you can go and liberate us. You can, you know, get a better job and take us away from this poverty. With that mindset, no child wants to come back again to join you in frying that akara that saved or it took her to school because she wants to, you know, run away from that survival into thriving mode. But the mindset of a rich man in doing business is not that of survival, but is that of making a difference. And this is how it is communicated to the children, that this business we're doing is for us to, I'm using it, I use this business, I started this business, and I was able to grow wealth at this level. And for us to continue in that generational wealth, you need to understand this business and, you know, apply all your other, because a new generation is usually a modified version of the older generation. You come with your ideas. We grow this business to sustain that family wealth. And I've also been studying some rich people. They are not afraid to have conversations about money with their children. Their children are well aware of giving value and getting money at a very early age. So they flow into that business of we have to think of a solution for the people, for the masses, make a difference, and sustain the wealth. So the two mindsets are different, and that's why whatever they read, they can come back and take over the business because they understand the family dream. There's usually a family dream that from generation to generation, and sometimes in those families, there will always be one or two who are not interested in that family dream. Maybe their own gifts are different, but the majority of the people will buy into that family dream because they understood it early, they keyed into it early, they are not running away from it. It's a means of their thriving and their success, and they want to keep it growing. So that's why I feel like even we that we're just starting our lives, we can begin to get our children to buy into our businesses very early. So it becomes something that we're working together to build the Ugo family.
Can I throw in this angle?
Go ahead.
Because maybe it's the mindset in which we raise our children with. So, for example, if my parents were frying akara all through my life and I saw that that was the money they used to send me to school. Now, maybe if I was raised to see dignity in that work, not see it as a hustle to survive. If I see that dignity, and I'll now, when I travel or when I get educated, I'm thinking, okay, how can I deliver akara to everybody's house Saturday mornings? Most people like to take akara in the mornings, or or get people to subscribe to our akara, hot akara. I can think bigger. So maybe it's the way we are raising our children, not to appreciate that, even no matter how small it is. Because yes, you might think akara is survival to you, my mother, but I can actually make this an international business where I'm delivering akara every morning. The same way back in the day, they used to deliver fresh milk.
Yeah.
In all these, we used to watch in the movies, they'll be delivering fresh milk. Even in my school back then, there'll be in Corona, they used to give us fresh milk in the morning. That was not hot, but good milk. But back many, when I was in primary school. Back in the day. But the truth is that maybe they could be having been innovated. Maybe should we now change the way we are raising our children to see labor on work? Let me come to you guys.
So I didn't like the poor and rich example. So there are small businesses, there are big businesses. Simple. And families and generation have, passed down whatever businesses they do. In fact, it is a Yoruba thing for a family to be known by a trade. So you have some people that say, you're something. You have some people, they will be another thing. Depending on the trade they do. In Benin, the bronze casters, the generation upon generation are being bronze. That's what they do. Bronze is what they do in the family. And you see one child or another child inherit it. It depends on who receives the vision. What we see with people who do not have the mindset, whether they are small or big business of generational trade or skill, is that they are doing their own thing and they allow their kids do their own. No rich or small or poor example. Why I say that is that, when we do this example, another person might not key into calling it a generational thing. They will just be saying, well, I'm a poor man and I don't have to do it. So my dad was a firefighter, a scientist, and he thought everybody in his line would just generally do it. All of us come. The people he pegged that this one naturally would do, they went on, and my brother who even did sciences is now in advertising, and he didn't really fulfill it. The worst that he was that none of us could memorize the Quran the way he did. So things that he did and loved and he tried to get us to do, we did not find love or time to do because, things did not work out. Things like, that's how we should see it. It's not about one extreme end of the road and another extreme poor. No, that's not how we see it. I want us to see it, please. Okay.
So for me, I want to look at it as a dignity of labor, dignity of work conversation. We are part of a society, or we have a society where some jobs are seen as jobs for poor people or jobs that you just do just so that you can survive. And then there are some jobs you look at, these are important jobs that you can pass on from generation to generation. But I personally believe that as long as what you're doing is legal, there should be dignity that you're doing good work. And as long as that can provide for you and your family, then there should be pride in that. And if you have that sense, it is something that you want to see grow and you can pass on to the next generation. And the beauty about passing on to the next generation is that they come with their own newer ways. And, as time evolves with technology, you build on it. So it's easy to use Ngote and Tony Elumelu, because they're big examples. But I remember Hilda Bassi that many of us celebrate today talked about her mom. Her mom has always, that's how her mom raised her. That's what she used to send her to school. And look at what Hilda Bassi has done with that. Yes. Vicky James that does all the best red carpet dresses that everybody is talking about. I hear her mom was a tailor. And that was what she used in raising her. And for some of them, and I've heard so many other stories of doctors who went back to doing food business because that's what they knew, their parents would raise them, okay, I want you so that I can be a doctor. This food business is not for people of a certain caliber, but they find their way back because that's what they know. And when they go back with the education that they've gotten, they make it bigger. So it's important that whatever job we're doing today as parents, that we understand that it's good work and it can do so much for us. I'm also happy that we have these sort of businesses, these legacy businesses. These stories usually would have been an American story. Oh, this is 3rd generation, 5th generation. Now it's becoming our story. The only people that used to have legacy anything were politicians. This one, his father was governor, chop money. His son in the tree has chop money. But now it's spreading to many other things. And it shows that our society is growing. It shows that we're building wealth that we can pass on to next generation. Now, concerning these particular families that were highlighted, it's a blessing because there are families that their children did not go the path of the family. Not because they did not try, not because they did not show them the dignity of the job that they're doing. It's just that they had different passions, they had different ideas. There are 2 reasons why this could happen. Just one, as I mentioned, you just have different passions. You just want, the way you see the world is so different from the way your family, sees the world. Then there are those that have made the mistake of, how some people that have means, the people that work for you, you talk down at them, the children are not part of the business. Yeah. And even when they are part of the business, they are just placed on top of people. If we start them young and we start them small, so they understand the workings of the business, they are likely to want to be a part of it.
Let's go to the example Nima has said in the past where I think you grew up with your mom blending pepper. Yeah. Now, somebody who saw her mother blend pepper now says, you know what, I want to start packaging pepper. Blended pepper, because I know there's some people, I know a lady, More Pepper, she's doing that. I know another lady in the US who's blending pepper in packages. You can actually package it because you've gotten a bit of exposure. You realize that there's value in this. My mother was doing it in the raw state. I can take it a notch higher. So maybe we should start encouraging young people to look within, because many of us just want to, even parents, they're not raising you for family business. They're raising you to export you. They're raising you to just go out and don't leave me here. Let me do my suffering here. Because that's what they believe. So we need to use opportunity to begin to change mindset. There's a commercial about a man carpenter. It was an ad, right?
Yes.
And then his son was trying to get his son now used technology to get designs. You can actually migrate as a carpenter. You can get your business to a certain level. So let us start educating even those underneath that, listen, what you're doing, there's dignity in what you're doing. As an electrician, your child can actually do it at a better level.
Yeah.
As a carpenter.
So let's unpack it from the beginning.
Yes.
It was an analysis that differentiated why some people did what they did and how they had their business, and that was what brought the poor and the rich.
Yeah.
And we cannot pretend that there are no poor people. Neither can we pretend there are no rich people. It's a balanced society. Even the scripture says there will always be the poor amongst us. Just try not to be the poor, right? So we can't hide that. Secondly, every business starts small. Yeah. There's no business that does not start small. The small is just at the level where you are. Your small can be different from my small is different from her small, but every business starts small. And for us to be able to change the mindset of helping our children see the value in what we do, we have to change our mindset. Most of the people who are not able to communicate this, the strength of the businesses and what they aspire to do or what they intend to achieve is because, first of all, they were doing it at the level to just feed. Most African businesses starts from, I want to be able to feed. I want to be able to pay school fees. I want to be able to do this. They are not doing it from, I sat down and I imagined how people will eat my fluffy akara and they will be able to deliver at work. Most of the businesses that start don't start that way, right? And if you do not start that way, what are you going to communicate to the next generation? You're going to communicate and say, go and read your book and leave this place. This place is not for you. So we also need to understand, why do we do the businesses that we do? It's a question that we must answer. For you to be able to, the scripture says, write the vision Make it plain, that they that see it will run with it. Ask the people who have been able to grow their businesses into a place where their children, the next generation, take up their business. They have a vision. And for every generation that comes into that business, buys into their grandfather's vision for that business and improves on it. The next generation comes in, buys into there's always an original vision. We don't start business in this part of the world with an original vision. So we must solve that. And that's why I started from that, separating the mindset of the people. We can always, there's nobody cast in stone that you must be poor. We can always shift mindsets. But if we pretend the mindsets are not there just because we want to have, to make everybody feel good, everybody cannot feel good. Some people will hear this and say, I refuse to be poor, I'm going to shift this mindset. It's also a place. There's also a place.
Can I give a perspective?
Joy, thanks for calling, Joy. Hold it for a while. Go ahead, Joy. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling. My name is Joyce. I'm calling from Legacies. I just wanted to point out my last word.
We can't hear you, Joy. Are you outside?
No, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
We as Africans, we actually do have generational. I think it's part of our focus. But the problem of the African, we did not document it. She pointed out, we have families who are young, grown stars, it was a thing written right in the past, but we just never documented. Then I think maybe the poverty thing came and it just did a lot of things. Everybody became a struggle for survival. But I'm glad it's what a lot of young people are doing today. For lack of a better word, they are organizing a lot of things. So the mother is selling seconds, they are doing, I can actually take it and sell it. So I want to put us on track for West African. We actually do have a generational businesses. And the girl that leads with me, she once told me something. He knows a lot of things. He knows about leads, but he doesn't know the name. Now I'm talking about something was never. My mom used to tell me about people who used to, arrange homes, a long line of families. They pass it to their children. We've always had it, it's just never documented.
Thank you very much. You're going to use an example.
Yeah. Can I?
Right.
Okay, so what she said about, this is an African thing we do, that's true, because I know someone that sells fabrics. Her mom was a fabric seller in the market. Now her own fabric shops are in all the choice places in Lagos State, and she only, provides for a certain... No, not SARS. Yeah, provides for a certain, type of people. Yes. So definitely we've had that, but she's right, we haven't documented it. But I was going to say that, let me also give perspective about how we started, how different generations start business. So it maybe not necessarily about poverty and wealth, but why that comes into play. So let's say someone is first generation and that person is selling, I'm trying to look for something, let's say food, right? The motive for starting that business, because you really have nothing, is really for survival, and that's fine. But by second generation, if it's something that you have encouraged, the children are part of the business and everything, by second generation, the motive is different. Maybe that's when, second to third generation, that's when you start thinking of legacy. So it's not really about wealth and poverty, it's really just about where you find yourself at a point in time. I always say this too when we're raising children. I said, how Ajekpako raising Ajebota. What pushed you to do better for yourself was maybe the poverty and the things that you're unable to acquire. Oh, I couldn't get good education, I didn't eat well, I must make sure that it's different for my children. And then you now give birth to children. The passion and their own motive will come from a different place. They will not be moved by, they are not pressured by the things that you were pressured by. So it's a different mindset for them. Okay, now we're going to take it to a legacy, And finally, I'm going back to what I said earlier, that this is also a story of the growth that's happening in our country. It shows that there's wealth being built. A lot of the times we started at that level because that was where many Africans were after the colonialists left. We're really very poor people, but we have been building upon our wealth, and we're going to see more and more legacy businesses and generational wealth as we go forward. But we have to also change that mindset, which I think I'm already seeing. So this is not our story now. Many people understand that the jobs that they're doing today can get you anywhere. There used to be a time when you say you want to sew, your parents will say, you're not a tailor. You're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're this. But now we want you to be fashion designers, we want you to sell food because we know that you can build on this and make it generational wealth.
So I wanted to say, back to the poor and small business example. So businesses start small. But the tweet or message we were focusing on was focusing on successful big businesses. They are small businesses as we speak. I mentioned on the show one time I went to a business place in Surulere. This young Lagos girl saw her grandmother, not even her mom. Her mom was a civil servant who would have broken the line, sell. And so she sells meat. She grills meat in Surulere, Onidoko. Everybody, if you know that place, you go there, we buy meat. And it's a young single girl continuing the line she learned from living with her grandmom. Another business that I know is, we call her Dupeti Shine on the island. I went to school with her daughter. The daughter today took cosmetics from her mom, being uneducated and just selling the cosmetics and building. And the daughter is in America today. She's a skincare expert. Building. So we've always had it. What we did not have was the packaging that will make it all glossy and beautiful. But we as Africans did this. In the Benin custom, you have the Ejiobe custom, where the first son is expected to continue in that line. And so to inherit and continue, you must inherit the family house and continue that line and do certain rights, just to enshrine that continuation according to family. But what we are seeing today is the comparison. And so to find the best of comparison, we use a Dangote and compare with one of Mark, and what's the name, abroad, where it is generational. But we've always had it here. If you go to the island, a lot of women are selling wrappers because their mothers sold this. Yeah. And they grew their mothers 1 shop to 10 shops and being the importer. There are many.
But that's happening. But their own children aren't doing that today.
Many of our children. Morayo, don't say
so
what
our own generation.
their children,
my own generation, Gen Zs are not interested.
They are.
But they are doing it on social media.
It is uncaptured. It's undocumented. And so when we sit down, we make the example and say, no. Even these politicians that we talked about, is it not some people, some of them, they are our mates now, whose fathers were politicians. And all they've always known in that family is how to be in the public and do these things.
Sorry, and maybe it looks a bit different. Some people will say their mothers used to sell fabrics in the market, but now they are fashion designers. They are creating design. It's not different from where it looks different, but it was inspired by that. But as we say, I think our story now is that we should be more deliberate about making it a legacy.
So
because
some law firms growing up, I've known the older generation.
You're right. We can pick 1 or 2. But we don't do it as a collective, not a culture. That's what I'm trying to say.
So that we need even to say that is wrong, because I just established that it's been a culture among African groups for years. The point we're trying to make is that when a family has built a legacy and one child decides to do something different, I made the example is you have more cases that we talk about being 1 child or 2 or 3 of the children saying, oh, daddy had a good legacy. They sit down and enjoy the trust, but they don't want to be involved. And we're saying, for you to get to that point, what we are highlighting is that train those children so that they have interest. Well, what if you do and they don't have the interest?
Okay, that's okay. You can't generalize. I ask a question. So some of the examples we have given are your grandmother sold clothes. Now you have taken the business up. But you've taken the business up, but it's your business. It's not your grandmother's business that she started. So the question is, how do we make it that grandma started this business, grew it to a point, daughter joined, is the same business grandma started.
Like Macy's.
Yes, and it becomes a generational business. Not that after, like, for instance, now my grandmother was a seamstress, a caterer, and so many other things that she was. I'm doing everything that she ever did, but I'm doing it as BC. I'm not doing it as a business that grandma started. So that sustenance is where the problem is. We're not able to have that sustenance. So you don't come, it's just a few people who are able to continue from that. So we're asking, how do we ensure that sustenance so that it becomes generational wealth that we're building and we're growing?
That's easy, actually. So that goes back to what I'm saying, that as a country, as a community, as a society, we're building wealth. You're unable to build your grandma's to your own and make it from grandma because there were really very little resources. It was just able to inspire you to do more. And it's fine. And that's valid as well. Now you get to your own point. You're able to also raise money and maybe build physical buildings where your children can be part of it. You have carried it. It will still be grandma's dream. If you talk about...
Grandma's dream is my dream now.
It will still be inspired by that. It comes from somewhere.
Yeah. When these people come here and
even Oyibo people that have had generational wealth, when they tell you how the very first person started, it wasn't as if he had built, but he gave them a platform and they have built on it. And so I guess in the end, it has to depend on you. If you are willing to give grandma the accolade and say, because you gave me this platform, here we are today.
Let me take
this has become a family wealth.
Call. Dorcas, thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning. Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dorcas. We can hear you. Oh, I think we lost that.
So there's something called...
Oh, I'm told I have to go on a break. Sorry. Let me go now. I'll come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Nima was going to say something before the break. Yes.
So there's something called trust that ensures that your legacy continues, whether or not your children are involved. So you now find ceremonial board members who just make sure that your name is mentioned in that company, that acquisition and reacquisition does not finally swallow it.
Yes.
So you have those, and it could be one of the things running these companies maybe in the next generation or not. And even all these ones we are hearing.
Yes,
it could be
McDonald's,
that,
KFCs.
Yes, they've handed it over to a company, a trust to run it to ensure that it remains in that name, which is what the Idiogbe was trying to do traditionally. Ensure that the first son is burdened by it. The Idiogbe culture of the Benin people, ensuring that the first son is burdened by it. The Yorubas have it where you have families named by their trade. Ogungbele, Ade something, showing that you are royalty, your crown, you are Anyowale, you are the drummers. Different. It's been in generations ever. We've always had it. But something made it fail in our own African tradition. Some things made it fail. Polygamy, for instance, where the men married the women who farmed and to provide for their kids instead of continuing the kids' farming. So you see a farmer like my grandfather, whose wives were, my grandmother was the one bringing farm products herself. So my father just thought, instead of allowing my mom going to the big farms, he created a small farm behind the house where she could do, because she didn't have parents or relatives. That she was an orphan. There were only 2 girls who survived their parents. And so she really had a trying childhood. And so something like that broke the chain. And he left that for survival because he could not continue to drag land with a large number of children. My grandmother alone at 15, the other one, then plenty. So there was the competition. And so he left, even though he would come and say, I'm a village boy, I'm a proud one. I love to farm. And I have the gift. If I put something on the ground, it grows. Yeah. But I cannot farm because there's no land that I inherited to continue that chain. And he had to leave town, come to Lagos, become scientist, become firefighter, and survive. And so that chain broke.
So your father would have been a farmer.
And I would have loved to be a farmer. It's something that's still in my blood.
I mean, you're selling rice. You're very close. You've been inspired. Anyway, so I was going to say also, earlier I'd said we don't have it as a culture. And I meant we don't have it as a culture anymore. And you are trying to explain, the factors that may have led to that. I don't agree that polygamy is the reason. I don't even agree that polygamy... In fact, I feel that polygamy was used really to perpetuate this generational wealth. I think is westernization colonialism.
Yes.
That happened.
So.
I don't know if people... the stories that they would tell us, how, the evangelists, the earlier evangelists will come and want to take your child to go to school. You take the laziest... They will take the laziest of the child because you want the ones that would continue your business to stay at home. So they are the ones that would not go to school, they will push. But then westernization came. So the people that now ended up going to school now started becoming doctors and lawyers and everything. And wealth now moved to that side. So I think that's what broke that as a tradition. So now we saw whatever we did traditionally as something we did for survival or something that would never really take us anywhere. But these people were now in the new world, do you understand? But now what has happened again is that we're adding both together. We now understand what we had culturally. We now have the education that we have now. We have technological advancement, which we have imbibed, our children have taken. We send our children abroad. The thing people think there, we've given our children, they are joining it now. And we're now seeing it being built up. So we're building ourselves back again. We I think we're now understanding the culture. Now our children will see some of the things we're doing and find it interesting. When my mom, one more example. My mom as a nurse, I saw nursing as survival. I saw her go through stress. It was not what I wanted for myself. And I'm sure a few times, she had said that, like she didn't want that because of the stress. But she wants her grandchildren to do it. My daughter, there's a way she's very caring and nurturing. My mom is always saying, you make a very good nurse or be in the medical practice. And please, I have my own passion. I may do it as a side hustle. So we laugh at her, like, how are you going to do medicine as a side hustle? But we now see it as something that you can build up upon. And
Pastor Ola, thanks for calling. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My sisters to all the ladies there. Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right. I quickly wanted to say something about the poor and the rich, but I think it has been tracked. For me, really, it's not about the poor, because I've seen a lot of rich people whose children would not want to take over the business. And another thing I want us to look at is the discrimination from the society towards some kind of job or vocation. Today I live in Abuja, but I was born in Kaduna. I'm into estate business in Abuja right now, and I thank God I'm doing well. But I remembered when I got married, 2 years after my marriage, things were hard, and I didn't want to steal. I tried to sell goat meat.
We're having issues with that.
That's a great story.
Go ahead, BC.
Well, now talking about what has, separated us from some of the cultures that would have helped us, grow our generational wealth and different businesses. I'm also realizing that the loss, you talked about when the colonialists came. One of the ways the colonialists broke us was to separate us from our values and integrity, and we lost our identity. Now, why some of our businesses in the times of old were able to, go from generation to generation was that people were more trusting of each other. We had more value. There was a video showing an elderly man who put up plantains. I think we saw it a few months back, and just wrote the prices and left. That was how we were going to the market. You will not see the woman, you just see Ugu is 5 naira. You drop 5 naira, collect Ugu, and you go. You won't try it in this day and time because nobody is trusting of each other. People will come there, steal the Ugu, and nothing would happen, right? That was a local place now. It was in the bush. He was doing it in the bush. Come to the city and come and try it. You advise yourself. Yeah. So we lost that. And even when the government decides to step in, because I wanted, first of all, to also accuse the government of not giving an enabling environment for some of these businesses to thrive. And even when they come in to give those loans without interest, do we pay back? We don't. So we sabotage ourselves, we sabotage our country, and then everybody just goes to what's the quickest thing I can do to make money? Is it bike? I would drive now to make money. Is it japa? I would japa now to make money. And we have lost all of that. So now I'm happy with this sort of conversation because we are now going back to how we were as a people and how we can begin to develop ourselves. We're now seeing the values in some of the gifts and the talents that we naturally have, because there's no place in America or US or UK that we fry akara like we fry akara here. Why don't we package this akara, do it in such a way that it becomes an international selling product? That's what they do to us. They come here, they take our bitter leaf, they go there, they put it in capsules and bring it back, and we're spending money to buy. All this collagen everybody's drinking up and down to look a certain way. We have some of these things behind us. And we had people who knew the trade. I have a sister-in-law.
I read a story about a family that I think was an Italian family. They used to do pizzas. And for many years, his father used to make pizzas, the best pizza. It was my father or mother. Anyways, by the time the son was going to take over the business, he started doing packaged pizza that was now being that
mainstream.
That was being sold in the supermarkets as pizza. So you just take it home, put it in the microwave, it heats up, and your pizza is ready to go. Yeah. So it's now packaged. But before, pizza was just something you take made from scratch. But now they were able to develop it and say, we can actually put something to preserve it longer, so families can have it at their will. They don't have to come to the restaurant. So now it now has to form the brand. So these are things that we need to start thinking outside the box as Nigerians, as Africans.
We have that. We have that already. Do you know that they package soup from here?
And
Write
they package
your
soup
will.
from
it's
here.
now it's happening
So
And send
gradually.
it abroad.
Restrictive clause that stops your children from selling land, for instance. If, for instance, the father located his pizza based on maybe they have cattle, they can make cheese, and so he wants to
And
get
milk.
the whole train, and one child comes and says, well, this land said, let me just sell it.
Yeah.
You have to
Quick
then
money.
put a restrictive clause in your will that stops your limits.
You know, there's a story, when you're talking about the story that
From
happened,
doing all of
it's
that.
happening now,
It's a
and
lot
I'll
of
be very careful about mentioning I won't mention the name. A family, a very good business. This person toiled. 2 children, only 2 children, came from the UK, and they've totally messed it up.
They were supposed to.
They read that and all one wanted to sell off. The other one wanted to continue, and there's a legal battle, and they're till tomorrow they are still in court trying to see how. So it goes back to how we raise the children to understand. One wants to just sell off and go back to the UK and say, I'm done with this country.
And
The
the
other one
values
is
we
trying.
give
So,
them.
Yeah.
so,
So, but even the Oyimbos that we talk about
Yeah.
today, they've gone through these issues that we're going through
Yeah.
for many years, and that's why we have all
trust.
these institutions coming. That's why things like trust come in, because these wealthy people who have built wealth that they want to pass on have now realized that sometimes your own blood may not be interested, or your own blood will be the one that would sabotage it. And so now they're looking outside the family. Let's look for people who have the interest. Let's see, we'll
Protect
give
it.
you a share in it, and you do it. So the Elumelus of today, by another generation, you be,
Yeah.
you maybe a different look
Yeah.
for who is running that, their conglomerate.
so we should stop trying to
And-
hold on to this. That is my nose, my family.
Yes. Also, the reasons why we're seeing this, I think, has a lot to do with political stability. We've come from a long history of civil war, military coups, back and forth. One day you have all the wealth, there's a military coup, you've
Tomorrow,
lost everything.
the policy.
But we've had, sustained stability, at least, we're not saying
Somewhat.
completely, somewhat, that's allowed people to grow businesses over a period of time and are able to move it on to the next generation. And that's why, earlier when we were talking about, I think it was earlier in the week or 2 weeks ago, when they said EFCC had raided, Dangote offices, and we're saying, oh, let the refineries work. It was not because, we love Dangote, Dangote is our relative. It's because it's enlightened self-interest. We're looking at how the interest to the whole country first. So yes, if anything comes out of that, prosecute. But remember that do not throw away a development, a facility that could help develop a nation with all that has been put into it, because, you're trying to pursue a case. So pursue the case, but those things those things that would help to develop our country and push our wealth and grow us, please, let's try and maintain
Let
them.
me take Miriam from Lekki.
Oh, your namesake.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
It's me again, Joyce. I think the universe is just being kind to me today, because it's not even getting to say, guys. But I think the way forward for us is not to build systems and structures, actually. Because we already have good businesses, we have people with great and wonderful ideas, but we don't have the right systems and structures. So when we look at,
She was
we
talking
needed
about the right
volume.
systems and
Sorry about that, Miriam. We really wanted to hear you. Yes,
We need
Emma.
experts to help with that, but let me quickly take this. William Davis says, good children, though, you can't train bad children to take over parents' business.
God help us.
Again, fear of parents for children to crumble the family business. Many thanks. Junel says, every job that's legal should be respected. We should allow our children to be happy. Children should have their own dreams and calling. It's okay if my kids want to do my business, and it's still okay if they pursue their own dreams and create their own legacies. Biliki says,
How wonderful it is for us to read about the Sir Tony Ezena, whose children, his daughters, or his first 3 children, are taking over Orange Drug. I mean, that is the dream of any man or any woman, any parent, to see that my children are taking. We saw Tony Elumelu, who was coaching his daughter, Oge. I mean, she was there, she had her cornrows, and she was there talking to all these big world leaders. And I'm just thinking,
The pride.
The pride.
yes.
Can you imagine
Right.
the pride?
And somebody was saying, so I heard on the comment that She doesn't need to wear all this Brazilian long V. She's just herself because listen, she doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. She can with her calm.
Leave
That one.
That's
Yeah,
what
not
has
even
to
that
be
one.
red
The point is that all of us are doing all this kira. It's because we're just trying to,
don't make it about yourself.
Doesn't need all that extra.
Talk for
She's
yourself.
just the daughter of Tony Elumi.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Let me tell you what. Let me
It's
tell you
enough.
that conversation. Let me tell you what it is. It's about allowing. I call it reverse snobbery.
Okay.
When a poor person does all this, people say it's because they are poor, they do it. When a rich person does not wear all this, that rich person can get away with.
Not wearing all
A
those
rich
things.
person can get away with driving an old Volks. And then people will see it as something to emulate.
Yeah.
Let the poor person try it.
You will not get away
You will
with
not see it as something to
Same
emulate.
way,
No.
a rich
So
person.
the value is not in the things that they are wearing. It's what they are doing. And let's leave it. Some people have a
They've worked
different
their
fashion.
value. So
fashion-
allow other people to work on
Because
their
as I've said it before,
Fashion sense.
rich people, they don't blow big accents and everything. No, it's those people who sold their land and sold everything to travel.
Yes.
They come back with
Let's
big
not forget that
accents.
Miriam-
No, they speak English. We pronounce it proper. They pronounce
Yes.
the English. The way they speak English, you see them. You know it's foreign,
Because-
but it's not with an accent.
Now-
They pronounce it a certain way.
maybe
But
second
those of
generation-
us that
Morayo.
our father sold everything.
Morayo.
Our accent is so calm. You
Morayo.
can't hear anybody
Now
again.
different things.
Because we are going to build that wealth on that accent. That accent
Now
was
different
going something.
things they pursue us. So when you are poor
Yes.
and poverty is chasing you and you
will
want to
use-
quickly run away, you use all the arsenal.
You
in your
have.
compartment.
Now accent, now weak, everything.
everything that you have. Because the rich person's daughter does not need to speak anything. Once she mentions her name,
Pew.
a poor person cannot. Which name? Who knows you? Who are you? So you will add the accent, you will add the hair, you will add the shoe, you will pack it till you get there. When you get there, your children. See,
know.
so these ones were struggling. Our children, by the grace of God, will not struggle it.
Yeah.
We are walking the path for them. So everybody at their pace. One is not better than the other. Stay where you are.
It's
For
fashion
my
sense.
children is dignity and contentment.
Amen.
No matter where they are, they will be so dignified in themselves, they don't have to package out of fear of poverty. The point I'm trying to make is that legacy is legacy. Or my egbe half I egbe need to be no my people say half it egbe need to my egbe fito. No matter how big a big man is dancing, the small man will not borrow his body to shake. He will dance his own.
Exactly.
If Tony Elumelu successfully built Tony Elumelu, there's a small businessman who has a solid business plan, but it's just small. And he will now think, because I'm not Tony Elumelu, it's not a legacy.
Mbaso.
Please.
Why we said that?
I don't want, no, I'm just saying, because
stay
we're saying a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we will be taking away from today's conversation. We are talking
stay where
business
you are.
legacies here.
Yeah.
And it is business legacy no matter what size the business is.
Ah, nice.
Exactly.
Yes, we started
That's
at
the
beginning.
point I want people to take. You might leave your small size business and your generation, if you can see, if truly they see from heaven, you will see that it's now a huge one. Before Tony Elumelu, I did not know any Elumelu.
Thank you. I was going to go there.
That's my
First
point.
generation.
Yeah.
He might be the first one.
Yeah.
The other one we know is a politician, and we can assume he made money from government.
Yeah.
You know? And every other businesses like that is watching.
I remember my mom
and
used
make
to
their
give me that, and I've
no matter
posted
the
this
size.
before. My mom, she was born in Lagos, obviously, and she used to notice when the owner of not Dangote, Doyin Group.
Yes, Saraki?
No, not Saraki. Adedoyin.
Yes.
Came to Lagos from Agbamu. He was the Doyin Group. He's one of Shiva Razak Okoya's very sorry.
Yes.
Pharmaceutical.
Yeah, so it's a huge conglomerate.
Yes.
They have multiple businesses. And she used to tell me the story of how when he just came to Lagos from Agbamu, he used to sleep in a store, a small shop. And he wondered why all these boys. And then he was so friends with Razak. And he'll be going in and out, trying to buy and getting people to sell them, to buy from them. And we'll just be laughing at them, all these small boys, because they came from a very well-to-do family in Lagos. So they used to look at them, but now she sees and, man, if I knew how hardworking those boys used to be. Now, today, their wealth, is now a generational wealth because their children are taking over the businesses. So that's the beginning, daily beginnings, many of us don't see.
Yeah.
So you're knowing to Elumelu years because probably hustle from somewhere. Well, it's now the onus is now on the children of these ones to sustain that name Eleganza,
So let me
to
ask
sustain that
something.
name doing group of companies so that...
So, some people have said, allow your children to go for their passion and all of that. It's valid, very fantastic. But apples do not fall too far from the tree. The talents that you have, one or two of your children have it. We pick up and every generation builds on what is already there. some of those skills that you have, 1 or 2 of them have it. So identify those ones that have it and make them interested in harnessing what they have. If you have 7 children and probably you are a businessman, you love to sell, you have gifts in anything you put your hand, you're able to market and sell and all of that. You will not tell me that out of that 7, none of them has the gift.
No, none of my siblings and I
will have
my
them.
mother was a very successful businesswoman.
Now.
My mother has 4 children, very successful businesswoman. None of us are buying and selling.
Because you don't want to does not mean it's not there. That's why, listen to what I'm saying. Identify it. It may also be in your children, but identify it early and nurture it. Don't ignore it. Why we're, planning to nurture so our kids exhibit a lot of things right now. You can't even say who wants to be a doctor or not. You may not tell because they have different gifts. One child will be able to weave, will be able to sew, will be able to sing, will be able to do different things, right? But because you have a mandate to grow your generational wealth, identify that one that likes money, that sits beside you when you're counting the money, when you're selling the thing, that wants to be involved in that and nurture that child. You can never tell. Don't just assume if tomorrow, because sometimes pairs can make us shift away from where we're naturally.
I just thought
we go for something else.
Something else. To Made is a generational talent.
Yes. Nurture it.
He's not
Lumelu
size
about something.
yet.
All this Lumelu, can you see these Lumelu students?
Yes.
Looking very Nigerian, very natural with their braids, their hair. They all have their natural hair. And I'll say
attachment, auntie.
No, but okay.
What I'm trying to make is that people like this will now get married to some really, really.
This is attachment.
And
Let's separate.
What are you trying to say? Because I have I want Morayo to land.
Just did not wear the sticky one. They wore the one that was working.
Please, can Morayo land so that I can say something?
I know you know what I want to say.
No.
I will not land it because
no. All I was going to say is, this may be the next level of influencers. Influencing a whole generation of doing braids. This thing it evolves. So I'm trying to say, yes, we're looking at them. Many people are now looking to them and saying, oh, I like the way they look, the way they dress, the way they are very Nigerian. I want to push my children that way.
Good.
Their mates are looking. I want
what
to
I'm saying aligns because this kind of women would attract their kind.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
Now, so what? They're kind. But those of us that don't have anything and we are trying to attract also their kind.
Are you not married?
No, not me. I'm talking a young girl like maybe young in university. You go and buy braids, that's Brazilian, do everything, go abroad, speak the grammar. You're also trying to attract the same person this woman girl is attracting.
Yes, if you work for you, work for you. And destiny carries it, you get it.
I don't even know the point I'm talking about.
I don't close the show. We can go. Don't start.
All the best to this family.
Yes,
that is all we can take on today's show. Have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Tell me that kind. Let's just break it down. What were you trying to say?